Government Secondary School, Ilukebunu, in Kababunu local government area of Kogi State, killing 3 persons, including a vice principal and a 6-year-old child. The attack, which occurred at about 10 a.m. today, threw the community into mourning and heightened concerns over security in the area. Confirming the incident in a statement issued today by its spokesperson, ASP Saliu Afusat, the Kogi State Police Command said a large number of armed bandits operating on about 40 motorcycles invaded the school with the suspected intention of abducting students and other residents. The statement said the divisional police officer of Kaba A Division immediately mobilized a joint security response after receiving distress calls, deploying personnel from the police division, the police mobile force, and tactical teams. The police further stated that one of the attackers was neutralized during the exchange of gunfire, while a member of the joint security team sustained gunshot injuries and is currently receiving treatment.
Meanwhile, the Edo State government has ordered the immediate closure of 3 secondary schools in Akoko Edo local government area following intelligence reports of a planned kidnap attack targeting students. The directive was contained in a circular dated June 9 and signed by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Mr. Eno Otamere. The decision followed security advisories from relevant agencies warning of credible threats to the safety of students, teachers, and residents in part of Akoko Edo. He said all academic and non-academic activities in the affected schools had been suspended indefinitely as a precautionary measure to protect lives and property.
In the meantime, 7 students of Eboyin State College of Earth Science and Technology, Indo, were injured during a robbery attack by suspected gunmen at a school store. According to the report, the incident occurred at midnight as armed men broke into a student hostel and robbed them of their belongings. It was also revealed that the school hostels have no fence or security post, making them porous for criminals to invade. The spokesperson of the Eboyin Police Command, Joshua Ukondu, in a phone call said that upon receiving the information of the attack, operatives were mobilized immediately to track down the perpetrators. Upon arriving at the scene, the criminal had escaped into the bush. Ukondu added that the police are actively trailing the criminals to apprehend them and recover stolen items. Meanwhile, the injured students are receiving medical treatment at an undisclosed hospital. At the time of filing this report, the school authorities have yet to issue any official statement regarding the attack.
Similarly, some gunmen have attacked Ora, a boundary community along Oshun Kwara boundary, and adopted the vice chairman of Ifedayo local government area of Oshun State, Mr. Debo Farumbi. Mr. Farumbi was reportedly adopted alongside the 3 other people by the gunmen who shot into the air, causing panic among the residents. It was further learned that the military men and local volunteers that were stationed in the town put up a strong resistance following the perpetrators to abandon 3 of those adopted. Some residents who spoke to newsmen today said the attackers shot sporadically before they went for their targets. A resident who pleaded for anonymity for security reasons said the gunmen successfully moved those adopted in the town towards the bush. When contacted, the Osun State Police Command Public Relations Officer Biodun Ojelabi confirmed the incidents.
The House of Representatives has called for immediate investigation and prosecution of those responsible for a deadly farmers-herders clash in Lanzai and neighboring Doshu communities in Darazo local government area of Bauchi State, which claimed 9 lives and displaced scores of residents. The call followed the consideration of a motion of urgent public importance sponsored by the member representing Darazo and Ganjua Federal Constituency, Monsur Manusoro, at plenary today. Presenting the motion, Soro drew the attention of the House of the violent confrontation that occurred last Wednesday, resulting in death, injuries, and widespread destruction of property in the affected communities. He expressed concern that the violence had displaced many families and exposed women, children, and the elderly to severe humanitarian conditions. The House observed that the incident had displaced numerous families and that the persistent violence continues to undermine national security, agricultural productivity, and economic development.
The House of Representatives has summoned the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, Minister of Defense General Christopher Musa, and his finance counterpart Taiwo Oyedele for questioning over the spike in the kidnappings in some parts of the country. Specifically, the House seeks details of funds released to the Ministry of Defense over the past 6 months and an explanation for the perceived lack of responding improvements in security nationwide. The resolution followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance brought on the floor of the Green Chamber by the member representing Gumi Bukunyum Federal Constituency of Zamfara State, Mr. Sulaiman Gumi, during plenary. Speaking on the substance of the motion, the lawmaker lamented the sorry state of security in Zamfara and other parts of the Northwest Zone, noting that as a result of the campaign of violence by insurgents, the entire region now battles the scourge of humanitarian crisis made worse by the harsh economic realities of the times. The lawmaker also drew his colleagues' attention to the escalation of bandit attacks in other northwest states, including Katsina, Kaduna, Kano, Kebbi, and Jigawa.
Members of the public have been advised to refrain from spreading rumors and unverified information regarding the Oluyole and Oluyole kidnapping incident. They have been enjoined to rely on only official updates from government and security agencies, as misinformation could jeopardize ongoing rescue efforts. The advice was given by former chairman of the Nigerian Legion, Oyo State Command, Barrister Lasisi Adetunji, and public affairs analyst Adesumbo Badejoko during a discussion on the latest development concerning the Oluyole and Oluyole hostages on the BCS Current Affairs Breakfast Program, AM 120. Fidora Afolagwe has the details.
Anxiety continues to mount in Oyo State over the fate of victims abducted in the Oluyole school kidnapping incident, as security agencies intensify efforts to secure their safe release. Speaking on the BCOS Breakfast Program AM 120, former chairman of the Nigerian Legion, Oyo State Command, Barrister Lasisi Adetunji, said the state should have been better prepared for such security threats, noting that previous attacks in the affected area ought to have prompted proactive measures. He however stressed that the priority at this stage should be the safe rescue of the victims rather than the apportionment of blame. Barrister Adetunji also emphasized that security is a collective responsibility, urging residents to remain vigilant, adopt necessary safety measures, and promptly report suspicious activities to security agencies.
The mistake the government made the other time in recruitment, in radicalization of this bandits, caused a lot of problem for us. They denied that they did not put anybody in the army, but we discovered that they were in the army. And those are the people who are giving the other people in the bush where they are, they show us, they open us to them. And that's why we are losing generals and all the rest in that place. I think the better they should do something in taking care of the welfare of the servicemen and those who are doing the job, and provide enough weapons and technology that they require.
Also speaking on the program, public affairs analyst Adesumbo Badejoko advocated the productive utilization of Nigeria's forest reserves through tourism, agriculture, and other economic activities to prevent them from becoming safe havens for criminals and terrorists. He further called for the establishment of special tribunals to handle kidnapping and banditry cases, arguing that such a measure would accelerate the administration of justice and strengthen efforts to combat insecurity.
I asked people just yesterday on another platform that people should pay attention to the countenance of the woman in the last video and the one in the very first video. You see a difference in even the tension level. She's more relaxed in this one, looking fresh, not looking like someone who has been in captivity for 24 days. You understand? What does that tell you? It shows government is, in a way, getting supplies across to them. And they are talking. And of course, these people are not maltreating them.
The two guests appealed to Nigerians to support ongoing security operations by avoiding the spread of unverified information and contributing positively to efforts aimed at addressing the country's security challenges. They maintained that safeguarding lives and property requires the collective commitment of government, security agencies, and citizens alike. Fidora Afolagwe, BCOS News.
These broadcasts of Newscope comes to you from the Broadcasting Corporation of your state, Ibadan. The National Association of Nigerian Students has urged the federal government to include representatives of students in the National Ebola Emergency Response Committee, saying their participation would strengthen awareness and sensitization efforts across tertiary institutions nationwide. The appeal was contained in a statement issued today by the association's public relations officer, Obida David, on behalf of the NANS leadership. NANS President Akinteye Babatunde in the statement said that the inclusion of student representatives in the committee would enhance the dissemination of health information and improve preparedness efforts within campuses and other educational environments. NANS said it was prepared to collaborate with health authorities, educational institutions, and other stakeholders to coordinate awareness campaign aimed at educating students on preventive measures, early detection protocols, and responsible health practices, while reaffirming its effort for government efforts to protect public health. NANS urged the federal government to consider its requests in the interest of national health security and the well-being of Nigerians.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has disclosed that youth account for over 70% of the 221,298 voters registered in Oyo State during the ongoing continuous voter registration (CVR) exercise. The resident electoral commissioner in the state, Professor Adeniran Tella, disclosed this at an election stakeholders meeting and called on eligible citizens to take advantage of the exercise before its conclusion. Our reporter Adeola Oladele has the details.
The meeting brought together political party representatives, security agencies, civil society groups, the media, and other stakeholders to review the recently concluded party primaries, assess the ongoing final phase of the continuous voter registration exercise, and discuss preparations for the 2027 general elections. Addressing the gathering, the resident electoral commissioner in Oyo State, Professor Adeniran Tella, urged traditional institutions, religious bodies, youth organizations, women groups, and the media to mobilize eligible citizens to register and collect their permanent voter cards, PVCs, ahead of the elections. Professor Tella disclosed that as of June 5, 2026, a total of 221,298 voters had registered during the ongoing CVR exercise, comprising 93,067 males, 128,231 females, and 2,531 persons with disabilities, while youth between the ages of 18 and 34 constituted over 70% of the registrants.
Members of the public are strongly encouraged to register earlier and avoid waiting until the last days of the exercise in order to avoid delays and other inconveniences. As we continue to prepare for the forthcoming electoral activities, I equally appeal to our stakeholders to remain committed to democratic values, peaceful participation, and respect for the rule of law. Together we can continue to strengthen our democracy and ensure that the will of the people prevails through the credible election.
While appreciating the cooperation of the political parties and security agencies during the monitoring of the recently concluded primaries for governorship, National Assembly, and the State House of Assembly elections, Professor Tella urged political actors to pursue lawful and peaceful channels in resolving grievances and avoid actions capable of eroding public confidence in the electoral process.
Commission does not run party primaries, but we regulate them. when the rules of party were flagrantly violated, in particular where the party itself reported a dispute, we have taken notes, and our role is to ensure that only valid nominated candidates emerge.
The resident electoral commissioner further reaffirmed the commission's commitment to conducting the 2027 general elections in a manner that is credible, transparent, and inclusive. The meeting also featured an interactive session where stakeholders offered suggestions aimed at improving the electoral process. The third and final phase of the continuous voter registration exercise commenced on May 11 and is scheduled to end on July 10, 2026. Adeola Oladele, BCOS News.
And on the foreign scene, unidentified gunmen have stormed an informal settlement near Johannesburg and fatally shot 12 people, wounding 9 others. Foreign desk editor Folashade Akintola compared the details and others as presented by Khadijat Lawal.
More than 10 armed people were driven to the area and stormed the settlement shortly after 11 p.m. on Tuesday, a police spokeswoman said. Another person later died in hospital. The motive for the attack is not known. Police said they had launched a manhunt for more than 10 suspects after the attack at the Jumpers informal settlement. The attack was in an area called Cleveland, about 6 kilometers less than 4 miles east of the Johannesburg city center. South Africa has one of the world's highest murder rates, with more than 60 homicides recorded on average each day. The country is awash with legal and illegal firearms, and shootings are common, often fueled by gang rivalry and competition between informal businesses. Meanwhile, an Indonesian military court has sentenced 4 officers for their involvement in an acid attack on an activist known for campaigning against the growing role of the army. One defendant was sentenced to 3 years in jail, a second to 2.5 years, the third to 2 years, and the fourth to 1.5 years, the judge said today. The 4 officers, all members of the military's Strategic Intelligence Agency, were found guilty on charge of serious premeditated assault after attacking Andre Yunus, a deputy coordinator with the Commission for Missing Persons and Victims of Violence, a rights group also known as Contras. Yunus, 27, was attacked on March 12 while he was riding a motorbike in the capital. 2 men on another motorbike threw acid at him, leaving him blind in one eye and with burns on more than 20% of his face and body. The charges against the soldiers for premeditated assault carried a maximum sentence of 12 years in prison. Preceding Judge Fredian Insantanto found that the 4 soldiers engaged in arrogant conduct. Following outrage over the attack, the military agency's chief stepped down, but no reason was made public. Yunus had asked for the trial to be held in a civilian court, not a military one, for the fear of a cover-up in a country where attacks on activists are rarely punished. He refused to attend any of the trial hearings, citing health reasons and distrust in the courts. And lastly, Ukrainian drones have struck a historic museum in Russia-annexed Sevastopol in Crimea, igniting a roof fire as Russian authorities slashed nighttime train schedules amid intensifying air attacks across the peninsula and deep into Russia. Sevastopol's Russian-installed governor, Mikhail Razvozev, announced the damage on Telegram earlier this morning. The museum commemorates Russia's 1853 to 1856 Crimean War struggle against a coalition including the Ottoman Empire. Razvozev said that during World War II's siege of Sevastopol, the Panorama building was subjected to mass bombing by German aviation. He declared, "The enemy will pay for this sacrilege." Emergency services, including Russia's emergency ministry and Sevastopol rescue service, were deployed to the site and extinguished the fire, Russian media reported. Local reporting indicates that the unrestricted commercial sale of gasoline to civilians has been completely suspended across the peninsula. Fuel is currently being strictly rationed, research for emergency response service, or accessible only via tightly monitored state-issued vouchers. Khadija Lawal, BCOS News.
To end this edition of Newscope, here again are the main points. Bandits have invaded government secondary school Oluyole in Kababunu local government area of Kogi State, killing 3 persons, including a vice principal and a 6-year-old child.
National Association of Nigerian Students has urged the federal government to include representatives of students in the National Ebola Emergency Response Committee, saying their participation would strengthen awareness and sensitization efforts across tertiary institutions nationwide.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has disclosed that youth account for over 70% of the 221,298 voters registered in Oyo State during the ongoing Continuous Voter Registration (CVR) exercise.
And on the foreign scene, unidentified gunmen have stormed an informal settlement near Johannesburg and fatally shot 12 people, wounding 9 others.
If you see something, say something. Be security conscious. That's all from Newscope desk for now. It was packaged by Miri Adedako and delivered by
Afolakemi Akobi
and Barakat Adekunle. Thanks for listening, and do not forget to tune in for the Yoruba version at 8 p.m. Good evening.
Araba ní bàbá o, ẹni ẹ bá rí ẹbí. Iléeṣẹ́ wa BCOS ti ṣèlérí pé òun ò ní tẹ̀tì rárá nínú gbígùnlé àwọn ohunkóhun tó bá ti lè mú gbáyé gbádùn bẹ́yìn olólùfẹ́ wa. Ṣé wọn ni tọ́lọ́run bá rí ọ, jẹ́ kéèyàn náà rí ọ pẹ̀lú ẹ̀yin lẹ́gbẹ́lẹ́gbẹ́, lájọ̀lájọ̀, iléeṣẹ́ ńláńlá, iléeṣẹ́ kéréje tó fi mẹ́yìn ẹlẹ́sìn gbogbo. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kò yọ olóṣèlú náà sílẹ̀ wípé àǹfààní ti wà fọ́kọ̀ọ̀kan yín o láti jẹ́ káyé gbọ́ nípa ohunkóhun tẹ́ ẹ bá ń ṣe, tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ káyé gbọ́ tàbí mọ̀ nípa rẹ̀, bíi ìfilọ́lẹ̀ iléeṣẹ́ tàbí ohun tẹ́ ń tà, tẹ́ ń pèsè jáde nílé iṣẹ́ yín, ètò ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ìta gbangba, ètò ìrónilágbára tó ń ti ìpolongo ìbò fẹ́gbẹ́ òṣèlú yòówù lórílẹ̀‐èdè wa Nàìjíríà, tó fi mọ́ ìsọjí, ìṣọ́òru, àjọ̀dún, ètò ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ṣáájú, lásìkò, àtìlẹ́yìn àwẹ̀ Ramadan, tó fi mọ́ òru Làlátùl Kọ́dìrì lórí ẹ̀rọ agbéni síta gbangba tá a mọ̀ sí outside broadcast OB, èyí tó máa lọ lórí àwọn rédíò iléeṣẹ́ wa mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta: Oluyole 98.5 FM, Òkè Ògùn 96.3 FM, Ajílété 92.1 FM, tó fi mọ́ orí ẹ̀rọ tẹlifíṣàn iléeṣẹ́ wa BCOS, tó ń torí àwọn ìkànnì ayélujára iléeṣẹ́ wa gbogbo lẹ́ẹ̀kan ṣoṣo. Kódà bó jẹ́ pé ayẹyẹ ìgbéyàwó, ọjọ́bí, oyè jíjẹ, ìṣílé tàbí òkú àgbà lẹ́yìn ṣe, tẹ́ ẹ sì fẹ́ kí gbogbo ayé ó mọ̀, rí tàbí gbọ́ bó bá ṣe ń lọ sí níbikíbi tẹ́ ẹ bá gbé ń ṣayẹyẹ yín ọ̀hún. Ọkọ̀ agbétò ságbàgbé ayé OB wa ti ṣetán o láti lọ síbi tẹ́ ẹ bá ti fẹ́ ká bá yín gbé ohun tẹ́ ń ṣe sétìgbọ́ àti ojú ìwòran aráyé ní bó ṣe ń lọ lọ́wọ́ ní yàjóyàjó. Ẹ̀yẹn ṣáà ti kàn ṣẹ́ka tó ń rí ṣètò ìpolówó ọjà nílé iṣẹ́ wa BCOS fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé. Ẹ dán wa wò ná, ẹ rí wípé rere lolúwa.
Owó la mọ̀, a ò fi tiwa ṣe, àìfọ̀tẹ̀sílẹ̀ ni ò jáyé ogún. Ṣé bójú là ń wò, a ò wo ti ṣe ṣe ọ̀rẹ́, òun lẹni ẹ̀tẹ́ ṣe ń béèrè àájíbọ̀. Mo ṣe bówó.